Oh, this is the real Jimmy Lyons.
Hey!
The other one died.
Jimmy Lyons was one of the very first pioneers of using poetry with music and jazz, and he had a famous case that I hope Mary tells you about it pretty soon. But we would like you to do the poem for us.
You know, Mary wants to say something about him first.
You
say your thing, so about it.
I just showed the record. You say anything.
Oh, okay. I have something really special to say about Jimmy Lyons because he is the very first person to make the kind of sounds that you are going to hear. A lot of people are doing this kind of thing just as a lot of people are doing poetry and dance together. Natika was a pioneer. But back in New York at the Gaslight Cafe, where in the early days of the beats and the poetry and jazz were coming together, later days of the beats, poetry and jazz were coming together. Now in the Gaslight Cafe, they could have poetry readings, and they didn't have to have a special cabaret license or entertainment license because poetry is conversation. It's words, right? Well, Jimmy began making different kinds of sounds out of words. He began to elongate sounds and to make up sounds. So the city had been trying to close down some of the poetry reading places because they didn't always like the content, but how can you arrest people for talking? You can't do that. Free speech. So when Jimmy got up and began doing his kinds of poetry, his sound poetry, and the beats and other people began calling him the sound man. Jack Kerouac gave him a name. Bob Kaufman gave him a name, the jazz man, the sound man, so he was a pioneer in these sounds. Well, they decided to make a special case, the police did, out of Jimmy Lyons and arrested him. And he had to go to jail for his poetry, had to go to court. And the judge said, okay, well, we'll listen to what you are doing. And so Jimmy stood up in court and he did this kind of poetry that you're going to hear tonight. And the judge, you would never think that he would win this case, but the judge said he had a right to expand the boundaries of poetry. So he was really, he won the case. Otherwise he'd be breaking rocks somewhere. And we're very lucky to have a person of this caliber here. Now, all of these poems were entered anonymously. Nobody knew who the poets were. They went through several sets of judges. It's very amazing to me that even without these special sounds, this poem was a grand prize winner. And when they heard the special sounds later, when they were trying to choreograph it and checking with the poet for music and things, they nearly fell down to find out that he had this sound poetry. Now you're going to hear the poem the way that it's read, and after that it will be played from his record, and the dancers will dance to it. Here's Jim.